Oh, I love that music because it means we're going live, my friends. Welcome once again to Zack Talk Live. My name is Zack, obviously, Zack Goller here on YouTube. I'm talking about all things movies and all things entertainment over here on the regular. So if you enjoy content like that, if you enjoy discussing topics like this, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. We are on the road to 2,000 subscribers over here, and feel free to leave us a like also because it's gonna be a fun one, obviously. I am very excited to bring back one of my best friends on the medium because this is the Flash spoiler stream after all. So I had to bring in the cavalry for this one. This guy was hyping up the Flash for so long, and he saw the Super Bowl trailer and he was like, that is going to be freaking awesome. I am ready to talk about the Flash with my good friend, Zack Milne. How you doing, man?
What's going on, dude?
He's ready.
True. It's true. I was hyping this up. But you know what? The people who saw it at CinemaCon and months in advance did it before I. So I don't take all the blame here.
Yeah, pop open a cold one because we're gonna get into some discussions over here. And just in case anybody has not seen The Flash, which for some reason, if you're watching this stream right now and you haven't seen it, if you don't want to be spoiled, pause the video right here. Go check out The Flash. Spend 2 hours and 20 minutes or something like that. I don't remember how long it was. Spend however long it is in the theaters, and then come right back, and we'll get into it. Depending on how you feel, we can rave about it, we can vent about it, however you want to feel. But first things first, Zack. I gotta get your honest take on this. Did this live up to your hype?
No.
No.
No. It didn't live up to my hype.
Just outright no.
Yeah, no.
Man.
I really enjoyed it. I'll say that. But
yeah,
when you have James Gunn saying the best comic book movie ever.
Oh, God. Oh,
Not
man.
quite.
That's a whole other rant that I could get into right now. But okay. So when you have people like, I mean, James Gunn touting this as like the greatest comic book movie of all time, since he's running DC and he's kind of their big business jockey out there right now, their big top dog, their president. I mean, you would expect him to say something like that. But then you hear Tom Cruise say, oh, yeah, this is the greatest comic book movie I've ever seen in my life, when he never does this.
I must call the director and congratulate him on this masterpiece.
I must personally thank him for giving me my favorite comic book movie of all time.
I should quit movies. I'll never top this. Cancel Dead Reckoning, guys. It's over.
Oh, my God. Could you imagine? Oh, they're going to probably make more after Dead Reckoning from what I'm hearing, if the rumors are true. Good Lord, Tom Cruise never does comic book movies, and here he is saying this is the pinnacle. No, it's not.
Yeah. It's weird that he did it, though. Like, when you really think about it, like, of all people, Tom Cruise. That's interesting.
You ever see those memes where it's like, oh, if the Avengers was made in the 90s, this is who would play everybody, and Tom Cruise is always the choice to play Tony Stark.
Yeah,
like, you have like freaking, I don't know, like Brad Pitt playing Thor. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head. I think they had Brendan Fraser playing Doctor Strange in one of those.
Leonardo DiCaprio's in there too somewhere, right? I remember.
Yeah.
Like, 90s, was that Spider-Man?
He might have been. He might have been. Yeah. No, that was, Titanic was huge, and that's when he became a superstar. Sorry, What's Eating Gilbert Grape fans. That's when he became famous, was through Titanic. But I got to say what's up to the chat. Also, Luke Ponto, of course, I just collabed with him not too long ago. Yeah. Luke Ponto is, really cool. Go subscribe to him. And before I forget, go subscribe to Zack Milne as well, because he is on the road to 2,500 subscribers before the end of this year. He's got a great live show. He's got a great podcast, and he's a really nice guy. He deserves it. He deserves it,
man.
Yeah. 80s kid from the 90s. Speaking of 90s, hello. Thank you for joining us, my friend.
Thanks for coming.
It was okay. Yeah. I don't know if is that being generous, Zack, do you think?
I'm a little above okay.
A little above okay, yeah. Before anybody adds me in the comments and says, oh, Zack hates the Flash, why is he talking about the Flash again? I had fun with the movie in certain aspects.
Your review wasn't it a B? Wasn't your review a B?
I think it might have been a B-. I don't remember.
Something
off the top.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get hate off your review. I thought you had a decent time with it.
Yeah. No, it like in certain ways, this movie is a lot of comic book fun and it's colorful. Definitely a very colorful movie. The DC universe, even when Zack Snyder was directing movies, didn't really have a whole lot of appealing look to it. Aside from Wonder Woman, which is still like, undisputed champion out of these DC movies, I think.
Yeah.
But um just because it was so invigorated with color and it looked really good on the big screen. The Flash, I think, for the most part, looks really good on the big screen, Zach. I don't know about you.
Some could argue this is still not appealing to look at, but I enjoyed it for the most part. There's some stuff in there that I thought was a little iffy and gross, but
Oh, God.
for the
Oh,
most
we'll get
part,
into
yeah, it was
that.
good.
We'll get into that. Got to say what's up to my homie Lance in the chat here. Zach and
Lance.
Zach. Hey, Zach Talk Live. That's what it's all about, right? I got to say, I feel good. And I got to say, I thought it was okay. I was happy to see Michael Keaton.
Yep.
That's my man. That was my favorite part of this movie. Like,
Big selling point.
no joke, Zach. Like, how happy were you to see Michael Keaton? It feels like we're living in 1989 all over again.
It was really cool. I'll admit that he's not my favorite Batman. He's not like a Batman that I've like fantasized of seeing
Oh, for
again.
sure.
But I enjoyed his movies and he was awesome in this movie. So yeah, it was great.
Easily the best part of it for me. It just looked like he loved doing this part again, and it looked like he loves to be there, and it looked like he was having fun. Which honestly, not enough people can say that. Oh, I'm having fun making this movie. So
Yeah.
no, he was.
Well, it was a
great.
combination of him, his stunt doubles, and the CGI recreations of him. They were all having a blast in this movie.
The CGI recreations were having a blast. Oh God. Oh, I don't know if I want to open up that can of worms yet. But hey, have you seen that with T? What's up, T? How you doing?
Hey, man.
My favorite Leo movie is The Basketball Diaries. Believe it or not, T, you're probably gonna hate me for this. I have not seen The Basketball Diaries yet.
Same.
Haven't seen it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, I feel like my favorite Leo movies are always cliche choices, like Wolf of Wall Street and I don't know. Django is up there. Titanic.
Yeah, that's
You
great.
got to put Titanic up
The
there.
Departed.
The Departed. Yeah, of course, The Departed. So I like the Batman story in the movie. I think we all did. We all did. Yeah. I would have. Oh God. Oh, I would have liked it better if we didn't get alternate Barry. Well, I think that would have been a bonus on all of our parts because you know what that means, Zach.
I'm a hard disagree on that, to be honest. But what does that mean?
It means that we don't get 2 Ezra Millers for the price of 1.
Oh, yeah.
Good Lord. And you know what? I think
man.
I'll address it now. A lot of people are like, oh, this was a big financial flop for DC. Why would they put this movie out? You know why this is like, there's 2 reasons I feel like this movie flopped because there's a lot of people I feel like who are really tired of DC looking at the Marvel blueprint and then just being like, oh, okay, they're doing the team up. So now we have to do the team up right now. Okay. Because we have to compete. And that's why the Justice League didn't work, because you're missing the long-term buildup and the long-term storytelling. Because it took a few years to get the Avengers.
Yeah.
God, it feels like they just skipped over all those origin stories and they got to the Justice League right away.
Yeah.
Like they did it all completely backwards. Like we should have waited at least a few more years before we got that movie. And then 6 years after the fact is when we're finally getting a Flash solo movie, and it isn't even really a solo movie.
That's
so
crazy. That's 6 years later.
yeah, 6 years later. Yeah, still not getting a Cyborg movie either.
And probably never will, based on how he's treated in this movie.
It's a darn shame. It's a darn shame. But I think the other reason, and not to get too deep into this, but I feel like a lot of people are looking at Ezra Miller's actions over the past like number of months or years, however long they've been doing what they're doing. Yeah, I feel like they were looking at this and being like, oh, I don't want to give Warner Brothers my money, like, because they still have this person starring in it. They were fine. They were solid. But I'm sitting here as a fan of the TV show and I'm like, where's Grant Gustin? Where's Grant Gustin? Like, and it's a multiverse movie, Zach. Like, they didn't.
That was
like,
they had a Flash in there. Apparently, it was Teddy Sears who played like Jay Garrick, the evil Zoom one in Flash season 2. Apparently, that's what I read. But it's like, really, you got him? You
Yeah.
didn't get Grant? That's weird. But
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what their problem is with Grant Gustin, man, and why they're not giving him the work here. Because if there's anything like they bring in all those alternate Spider-Men like over these past couple of years, and they're fine with
yeah.
bringing in Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield into the MCU. But
It is a little bit different because Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were both cinematic, same as Tom Holland,
fair
whereas
enough.
Grant Gustin is on television. So
Mhm.
it's not no disrespect to Grant, but it's not as grandiose as having the movie stars come
I
in
see
there.
what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah, it was. I don't know. I thought Ezra Miller's performance was fine for the material they were given, but again, I can totally understand why people wouldn't want to see this movie because they're rubbed the wrong way by them. But
Yeah.
um, so the movie starts off, and it's actually so the Flash in all of his glory, Zach. Like I don't know how like avid you are into Flash comics or anything, but
Just the
this
TV show. That's my only knowledge on the Flash.
yeah, yeah, the TV show. I love it. But like his whole big catalyst for getting this energy is to eat as much food as possible. Like
Yeah,
and they
which
established that in the opening scene in the coffee shop, right? So he goes in and he's like, "Hey, can you make this as quick as possible?" And like I was sitting there and I don't know if I should go into my past job history or anything, but as someone who used to work customer service, I resonated with that guy who was sitting there and being like, "Who's this asshole thinking he's more important than everybody?" You know? But
Yeah, absolutely. I
yeah.
really liked that. I think this is one of the things the movie I felt dropped a lot of things like
Hmm.
that it introduced or set up, it just kind of dropped them. I really liked this introduction because it kind of set up like this is his dilemma. Like if
Hmm.
he gets too hungry, he's basically useless, or he needs
Yeah.
food is his kryptonite almost. But they didn't really play with that much after this scene.
I mean, there were points where you get the alternate Barry later, and once he's injected with the lightning bolt, once they go back in time, and they're saying, "Oh, this is the night I got my powers." And
Yeah.
that's something I will tell you I really liked. I really, really liked how they delved into the origin. They kind of told it out of order in a sense, and they
Mhm.
did it through a multiverse realm. And they were like, "Hey, this is how I got my powers, and we're gonna relive it right now." And
I
the
thought it was
alternate,
very clever. It was a very clever, unique way of doing an origin story.
yeah, yeah, no, that part I really, really appreciated, and like that at least makes it stand out as an origin story on its own. Because even though this is technically another team up movie, as we'll get into, it was yeah, no, I thought it was a really unique way to tell the story, and you just see freaking Barry in the other universe just chomping down a thing of broccoli. Nobody's ever attacked
Oh,
broccoli like that.
yeah. And he's like, "I think that's rotten." And he's just chowing down on it.
He doesn't care, man. And Zach's like, I hate broccoli. Why would I do that? Yeah, I don't know,
Yeah. It would be
but
my choice, that's for sure. But,
mhm.
yeah, the younger Barry and current Barry, them playing off each other was some of my favorite parts of the movie for sure.
Yeah, Ezra Miller had to act with himself for most of the movie.
Yeah,
Um,
it's impressive.
I'll give them credit where it's due. They were really impressive in that regard. But answer me this then. So the first big action sequence, and I really like how they established Barry Allen as kind of the janitor of the Justice League, if you will. He's going
Yeah.
in and he's cleaning up the mess that Ben Affleck as Batman is leaving for him. And God, we didn't get enough Ben Affleck in this movie, did we?
Unfortunately, and we won't ever get it again.
Nope. Nope, we sure won't, will we? Oh
As
no.
far as far as a send off to Ben Affleck's Batman, it is kind of sad that the final scene we see of him is talking about how he's lonely,
Hmm.
and then the next time we see him, he's George Clooney. And I mean, like,
Oh, good lord.
George Clooney's Bruce Wayne. Like, what's a worse fate than that?
Hmm. Well, I mean, now Ben Affleck can go back to making great movies like Air again. Like,
Yeah,
I want him to direct more and I want him to act more in his films that he makes. Like, that's when I feel like Ben Affleck is at his best.
I did really like
So,
his Batman though. I'll miss him.
oh yeah, yeah. I thought Batfleck was great. I mean, say what you want about the guy, but I enjoyed what he brought to the role. So he basically goes in. Barry Allen is cleaning up this mess, and this is what really kills me, Zach. They set this whole action sequence in a children's hospital. So he's going in there, and he
I
has
couldn't believe it.
He has to save all these babies that are falling from the sky, and Barry Allen decides to eat food before saving the babies.
I thought the baby showers, I like to call it, the baby shower sequence. The baby shower sequence was one of the craziest, most bizarre. I can't believe they're doing this in a comic book movie I've ever seen before. Because they show it. I mean, the babies are freaky to look at. The CGI face babies. I think it goes the CGI baby in Twilight, and then these babies. Like they were freaky. But when they're falling from the sky, and you've got like razor blades heading towards one, and you got like acid about to fall on one, and he just darts past them to get to the vending machine. I thought that really worked for the humor, and the fact that they set up that he needs the energy to be the hero. I thought it was great.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, if you're looking at it out of context, I mean, I get what you're saying. It's established that Barry Allen needs food. But if he's a superhero, shouldn't his first priority be saving these babies and not like, oh, yeah, I'm going to eat food beforehand?
Well, I
And
took it though as like he wasn't going to be able to unless he got the food, because he has that like energy level thing, and it keeps showing how much lower and lower and lower it's getting. So I assume that if
Mhm.
he didn't get that vending machine food right that second, then he was just gonna like his speed was gonna stop and he was gonna fall with the babies.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I feel like people could like misinterpret that the wrong way as, oh, yeah, he went for the food first. He's super unlikable. Not just
Yeah,
because the Flash is played by Ezra Miller, which makes any character unlikable, really.
there
Credence.
There's a
But
there's a lot of moments, maybe not a lot, but there's some moments in the movie too where it's like, how did art reflect reality that closely? Like there's a scene shortly after when Barry's with Iris and he phases through the wall to grab two beers. And I'm like, did you
mhm.
get those from Amsterdam? Like,
Yeah.
what just happened? You just broke and entered and stole beers. Like that literally happened.
You're just shaking violently. And what Zach is talking about, there's a scene later on where he's like, supposed to like infiltrate 2013 Barry's apartment, and he has to shake through the wall, like shake himself as violently as possible. And that way, telekinesis, I guess, like, teleports him through the wall, and he's able to walk through walls as if he's made of water.
Yeah, well, he like shakes
Elemental.
his molecules or something. It was shown really cool. The visual, when they zoom into the eye and show like the molecules shaking as he goes to the wall. I thought that was a cool shot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it was really cool. And honestly, I really appreciated what Andy Muschietti brought to this movie as director. I've been such a big fan of this guy ever since I saw the first It movie in theaters. And I was sitting here, I love this guy. He needs to make more scary movies. Here he is making a comic book movie, and he is confirmed, Zach, to be directing The Brave and the Bold.
Yeah, I
So
saw that, man.
I'm really curious to see what he does with that, because I'm like, put some more scary elements in Batman and Robin movies. Like, come on.
Yeah. Well,
I-
he proved that he can do the Batman action with this movie. The Batman action in this movie was great.
Oh, it was so awesome. So freaking awesome. Um, Speaking of Batman, like eventually he does save all these kids. He saves one kid like by putting them in a microwave, which thankfully was unplugged. It's
Yeah.
so freaking dark. So uh Batfleck is chasing these criminals and everything, and he's saving I think like him and the Flash are both hanging off the bridge, and they are pulled up by Wonder Woman. And like, are you kidding me? This is probably going
Yeah.
to be her only scene, Zach. And sure enough, it was. Sure enough, it
Honestly,
was.
I didn't care very much when she popped, because Wonder Woman's just
Mhm.
kind of popped up everywhere that I'm kind of numb to her now. Like every time she pops up, they play that music, like the Hans Zimmer music. We're supposed to get
Yeah.
hyped, but it's like just saw you at the end of Shazam, just saw you in Fast 10. Like it's not surprising to see you pop up
I
anymore.
just saw her in Elemental. She's going to cameo in every movie ever from now on. So
Yeah,
I feel like that's part of the issue, though, with DC is like they're going to lean back on their strongest characters to salvage what they think they have in a movie,
yeah. I got
Like,
to know though, what time did you see this, and how was your theater?
okay, so I believe I saw this on a Thursday. No, it wasn't Thursday because I saw Elemental that night. It was on a Friday night at 7 p.m. And this theater would react like it was a pretty lukewarm theater the more I think about it.
Mm.
Um, especially when Wonder Woman came out. There were a few people next to me over here who were like, "Oh, hey, cool, Wonder Woman's in this." And then
Yeah.
that was about it. That was all the reaction she got. That's
Yeah,
a problem. That's a
that's the thing
problem.
is you could tell because she goes like, "Hey boys," and then they play the music and there's this pause as she pulls them up. You could tell they were expecting the audience to stand up and cheer, or there was supposed to be something to fill that silence. But I saw this Friday night at 6:30, the earliest
Bingo.
showing on Friday, which is technically the opening, not even half full, and dead silent the entire time. I was
Oh,
single-handedly providing the laugh track.
yeah. Yeah. It's again, I feel like the general public is starting to like, sour on DC.
Oh yeah.
Anything without James Gunn's name on it, they're just kind of like, oh, okay.
I
But
mean, just briefly, the DCEU box office numbers, they've been declining for a number of years now. Like even going before the pandemic, Birds of Prey just barely crossed $200 million in the worldwide box office. So the
yeah,
audience has been getting sick of these movies for a while. And The Flash is surrounded by so many other better movies. Across the Spider-Verse, Guardians 3, Elemental came out that time, Transformers was out. Like there was so much other, like Little Mermaid's still in theaters. There were so many other
Indiana
options to go
Jones,
to.
Indiana Jones right around the corner. So it's
Oh yeah, it's
probably
gonna bury this movie once Indiana Jones comes out.
Indy's gonna like Indy could honestly like I don't want to say it's gonna push 1 billion, but I think it could get close. I think it could get really, really close because
I'm
they don't
nervous with
like.
the reactions that have come out though. Like that could hurt it, but we'll see.
Hey, I'm sure like I'm sure a lot of the older like Gen X crowd won't really care about Rotten
Yeah.
Tomatoes and they'll
My
just go
dad
in
will
to
see it
see.
regardless. He won't care.
Yeah, yeah, that's the only movie that my dad's interested in seeing. But um so let's go to the chat real quick. I agree with rushing the Justice League was a terrible mistake. Thank you, T. Thank you, T.
Yeah.
I wish DC knew that before they decided to rush it out into theaters.
It is funny though, because Zack Snyder's Justice League kind of proved that it didn't have to be. Because
Hmm.
it worked as a movie, I thought.
It did. It did. I feel like I would have liked that Justice League like a million times better if we got each solo movie first before that.
Yeah.
That's what Marvel did. I mean, aside from Black Widow and Hawkeye, like I
Yeah.
all due respect, I don't know how many people would have gone to a theater in 2009 to see a Black Widow movie.
No, not
Like,
at that time. No.
no. And so that's why they waited so long, is they wanted to wait for the Marvel Studios name to hold value before finally giving the fans what they wanted with a Black Widow movie and trying that.
Yeah.
Um, that movie bombed because of a pandemic, though. So I don't
Yeah.
really
As
know if
far
that
as we know,
counts.
we'll never know the actual numbers that movie was gonna make.
Yeah. 80s kid from the 90s. Last night I was comparing Ryan Johnson to Andy Muschietti. Oh, interesting. Ryan Johnson made episode 8 bad on purpose. Muschietti made the CGI bad on purpose. I hope he can make a perfect JLA. Wow. I don't know. I'm going to disagree and say The Last Jedi is a good movie. I like it. I don't know
Yeah,
how much
I lean
value
more
they
to
hold.
liking it for sure. I don't agree
Yeah.
with the decisions that Johnson made with a lot of it, but I
Mhm.
don't like with Eddie Muschietti saying like the CGI was made bad on purpose. Yeah, he can make CGI look the way he wants it to. That doesn't mean I have to say it looks good.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
um
He also says the Wonder Woman cameo wasn't necessary, Zach.
I mean it works in the context of like the Justice League were fighting together and they were all teaming up in Gotham. But yeah, it felt pretty much like shoehorned in. Like we got to
Yeah.
get some reactions from the audience. Get Wonder Woman in here.
You gotta do it, man. You gotta do it for the money. Yeah, he also says nobody was in my theater. Doth
Dang.
Shorts. Good to see you, Doth. Yeah, good to see you. For me
Yeah.
on a Thursday with a decent packed IMAX crowd. Oh,
All
okay.
right.
Yeah. I wonder how much better this movie would have looked in IMAX.
Yeah, I didn't
Because
see it in IMAX.
I didn't see it in IMAX either, but I'm sure those colors in the 2004 Polar Express CGI effects would look really, really good on the big screen, which brings me to the big part, Zach. He decides for like, okay, it's a very touching scene that he has, seeing his mom and living through the day that she died again.
Yeah.
So now he decides to go back in time to try and save his mother, which I can understand, but some people could interpret that as the Flash is, oh, he's being selfish again. He's looking out for himself and his own needs and not looking out for everybody else, which again,
Mhm.
you could argue that the Flash is young and naive and he doesn't really get that part.
Yeah.
But again, it's like there's a line. There's a line where I feel like the Flash could be deemed as super unlikable because of this decision. So he decides to run as fast as he can to reverse the clock, and he runs into another version of himself. And like we
Yeah.
talked about, Zach, Ezra Miller acts with himself for a lot of this movie.
Well, really quick before we get to that, actually,
Yeah,
I've been sitting on this for a couple days now, thinking about it.
Mhm.
So the whole reason that Barry wants to go back in time is because his mom dies, right? And the reason the mom dies is because the dad goes out for a second can of soup, right?
correct.
So his idea to save her is to make sure that she just has a can of soup so the dad never has to go out.
Yeah,
How? Because for people like Andy Machete has talked about this, and we kind of know from the TV show and knowledge that Reverse Flash is who kills her, right?
oh
So
yeah.
how does the dad still being there
How does that
protect her?
how does that factor anything? Plot holes.
Oh,
Plot
there's
holes
tons.
there.
Why didn't he just go back and get the receipt? Make sure his dad gets the receipt. Boom. You're vindicated.
Time out. We need proof that this actually happened. Oh, good lord. Yeah, it's just, see guys,
Yeah.
it doesn't live up to the hype.
It's not great, but
No. No. I mean, it's it's at least fun, but we have to point it out for its flaws. So that's what we do as critics, right? So exactly, Zach, it makes no sense. Yeah, it is good from the 90s. My favorite IMAX experience was No Time. Oh, Eric Thorpe. Hey, good to see you, Eric Thorpe. My favorite
Hey.
IMAX experience was No Time to Die. Used the full IMAX aspect ratio amazingly. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
That movie is a good one. It's up there in my favorite of the Daniel Craig series. Tomatoes Relocated. What? Hold on. 80s came from the 90s. Tomatoes Relocated. I don't know if
Oh,
that's
the can of tomatoes. He put the can of tomatoes on the top shelf at the end of the movie, so his dad would look up.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
So he wasn't looking down the whole time, but could have just gotten a receipt.
So many damn plot holes. Eric Thorpe at least thinks the movie is great. Yeah, I'm glad you do. I'm glad you do, man. Even if it has flaws, which we're pointing out. Which, by the way, we're talking about him running back in time, as fast as he can, and he's seeing all these like alternate versions of his mother and father. He's seeing all the events. Oh, yeah, his mother is actually alive to see him grow up into being a high schooler. This CG, Zach, let's talk about this.
It was a choice.
So bad. Like, it's like, I'm not saying it's bad in the sense like, oh, you can totally tell that's fake. It looks completely like it was fabricated out of the year 2004 when Robert Zemeckis was going through his motion capture phase of his career.
Yeah,
I don't know
like it's still rendering.
I don't know if you can call it a midlife crisis of Robert Zemeckis' career, but when he was making movies like Polar Express, Beowulf, and Christmas Carol, it looks like all those human characters in that form were put into a movie 20 years later.
Yeah.
And it just does not fit. Does not fit.
Weird. It's gross.
It's super gross. I mean, even though like the flash colors are nice, as he's running, the suit looks good.
Yeah.
That's CG, man. It's gonna live rent free in my head.
I didn't like looking at it, so let's just say that.
Jacob Hubbard, got to say what's up to Jacob Hubbard.
Hey,
he is going to be my guest on my next live stream next week. Stay tuned to my Twitter feed for a official announcement on that. I can talk about it at the end of this stream too. But good to see Jacob here. Go subscribe to him as well. And congratulations on 10 years on YouTube as well.
Yeah, that's amazing, dude.
Yeah, keep being you, man. Keep being you. You deserve all the adoration. So, oh god, Dot brings up something interesting, but I mean, I think we'll get to that closer to the end. I kind of want to go in chronological order here because there's just too much stuff. So, this is the time where he takes 2013 Barry, and this is where we get that origin story, right? This is where he's like, hey, this is when I got my powers. I don't have my powers in this universe. So now we have to go back here. And you completely flip the scripts. 2013 Barry gets the powers and he freaking loves every bit of it.
I kind of loved alternate Barry. I don't know why. his laugh like every second. It's like
He was so excited, like a
we
kid in a
have
candy
powers.
store. And he's just abusing the powers in the apartment, just running around, and the
Yeah.
bolts of electricity are just everywhere.
And we find out how he gets the name the Flash.
How?
Well, he runs naked in the street.
Yeah, he sure does. He sure does.
There's a lot of Ezra in this movie.
There's a lot of nudity here, but it's still PG-13. Why wasn't this a rated R Flash? Why wasn't this a rated R Flash? That would have been really interesting.
Yeah, it was a little shocking, but you know.
Just a smidge. So and he's like, a big storyline in this movie is the current Barry that we know struggling to train the old version of himself, the younger version of himself.
Yeah.
But he doesn't, no rest for the weary, because we noticed that back in 2013, the time of Man of Steel, when Man of Steel came out, the villain in that movie was General Zod, and Michael Shannon was back, and he looked awesome. He was really good.
This for like a day, and then his CGI recreation took over.
Stupid CGI. I'm so sick of bad CGI. So
I will say he didn't bring the presence like he did in Man of Steel. Did you feel that?
Yeah. He definitely felt less imposing, not in a bad way, but it definitely felt like he was a lot more like soft spoken.
It felt a little bit like a paycheck role for Michael, for Shannon.
Yeah,
kind of like, you know what? All right, I'm here. I'm Zod. And then he just like did whatever he needed to do, and then he went away.
Anybody who's into editing clip Zack doing that exact same thing. I'm here. So, and then this is actually a really interesting facet of the whole scene. So, Barry and Barry, that's gonna throw me off so bad. They actually meet up with their friends who we met in the opening scene that are
who hate him. His friends that like pick on him at the police station.
Yep. So they run into those friends here, and they're completely different. And they're basically like, the Flash is basically looking for help. He's gonna assemble the Justice League once again. But little does he know, poor Victor Stone has not gained his abilities yet. He is still an all-star Letterman football player. See you later, Cyborg. Thanks for your work in ZSJL, but you're not getting a paycheck. You're not getting a paycheck. How dare they? How dare they? He was so good. So Arthur Curry was never born, which is interesting. Really, really interesting. He calls Arthur Curry's father, and he's like, "Hey, are you married to the Queen of Atlantis?"
That was pretty funny.
He's not married to the Queen of Atlantis, and he thinks somebody was ribbing him. So it's a funny little scene there. And then they try to search up Wonder Woman on the internet.
It's like a Vegas act. This girl juggling cats or something.
See, if this were rated R, that would have been a very different website.
Yes, it would have
been. Yes, it would have been. That would have been a very different website. But thankfully, Batman exists in this universe, and everybody knows how to do the "I'm Batman" thing. But what were your thoughts when you first saw Michael Keaton come into this movie, Zach?
So before I get to Michael Keaton, I will say that segment of the movie, I loved all the Back to the Future references. How they're talking about like how Eric Stoltz is actually Marty McFly and not Michael J. Fox. And Michael J. Fox was in Footloose, and Kevin Bacon's in Top Gun. Like that was kind of fun. That was kind of funny. And I loved Marty McFly. That's on his calf. That gave me a big laugh. It's Marty McThigh. That's not even your thigh. And it's Eric Stoltz. I thought that was funny.
Zach here is just full of the puns tonight, isn't he? Marty McThigh.
That's what they call him.
Yeah. Wait, is it? I must have missed that.
That's the joke. Is the guy lifts his leg up and he says, "Meet Marty McThigh," and then Ezra Miller says, "That's not even your thigh because it's on his calf."
No, did you miss God's sake. Yeah, I must have missed that. I must have been zoning out at that point. I was like, "Oh man, this movie's got to get a little bit more exciting, huh?"
Killed me, man. I thought it was so funny, Marty McThigh. I thought that was great.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
But yeah, the Michael Keaton his introduction was a little weird to me, because so they arrive at Wayne Manor. It's like grown over, and no one seems to be home. And then Michael Keaton comes out of the cupboard, like, looks like he's let himself go. He's got long gray hair and a long beard, and he's like throwing
Yeah.
flip-flops at them. And he's played like he's like this hermit, like he's like shunned himself away from society. And then in the next scene, he's just Bruce Wayne from Batman 89. And he's not acting like he was when we like it was
Yeah.
the visual didn't match the characterization to me. It was weird. What did you think of that?
Okay, so I really, really dug the introduction of that character just because it's like, oh, this is a universe that has very little crime, so there's no real need for Batman here. He can just retire and just sit on his parents' money. Um, and
I
then
guess so.
yeah, and then the Flash come in, and then Batman's fighting both of them. Hermit Batman.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. Like again, it much like the whole idea of this being a multiverse movie competing with Marvel now. And they're like, "Oh, Marvel's doing the multiverse? Okay, yeah, okay. Ezra Miller, you get to do multiverse, okay? Because the Flash, he can just circle the Earth back as many times as he wants, and that's how the multiverse happens, okay? And it's like, and they literally, okay. Michael Keaton uses spaghetti as an analogy
It was
for
kind of
explaining.
cool. I
It
kind of
was
liked it.
it was cool, but I was listening to that dialogue and I'm like, that's literally the exact same dialogue you hear in Loki, just worded differently.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, he actually he does specifically say time isn't branches. The timeline does not. It's all like mixed all together, and there's fixture points that cross over that never change in every timeline. Like kind of similar to Across the Spider-Verse, which is kind of funny because this was like supposed to come out in 2018, so this was written before all these movies. It's just kind of unfortunate that they all kind of had the same idea.
oh yeah, yeah. No, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just with the timing and where everything is, it's just too easy of a coincidence.
Yeah.
Because DC has already done stuff like this. They've already looked at the team up, they've already followed that blueprint, and now people can look at it and be like, "Oh, this is just the multiverse again." This is just the
Yeah.
multiverse.
We're in the
But
multiverse era of comic book movies. It's crazy.
uh-huh. No, I thought the explanation with the spaghetti was fine, but again, just the way it was written, I couldn't help but think it was just way too similar to Loki and how that all panned out. But
Yeah, that's fair.
in any
That's fair.
case, in any case, so they end up convincing Bruce after it's revealed the Batcave and like seeing the Batcave in the 1989 Batcave with Danny Elfman's score in the background. Never in a million years, because I was born 7 years after the original Batman premiered in theaters, 1996. So I never got to see Michael Keaton do Batman on the big screen. Never thought it was a possibility.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful for this movie that it gave me the chance to do that. And it looks like it was so much fun. How about you, Zach?
Yeah. Well, it was amazing. It was very cool. The 89 cave looked exactly like it did back in the day. The computer system, everything was great. The intro. So this was a little bit weird. This kind of felt to me like they had two scenes that they were like thinking of using to reveal that he was Batman, and then they ended up just using both of the scenes. Because when they're sitting down with Michael Keaton with the spaghetti analogy and all that stuff, he says like, "I'm Batman," and then the other Barry is like, "He's Batman." He's like, "What do you think we were doing here?" Like that he finds out Batman, right? And then they're in the Batcave, and Michael Keaton walks out in the suit, and they're like, "What you are?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm Batman." And it's like
Solid.
they already
Solid
knew that
impression.
though.
Yeah. Like what were they doing there in the meantime? Were they just like stalling for time just to,
Yeah,
mess with a hermit?
yeah, they're just exploring. But do you think they make it clear that this isn't the Tim Burton Batman? It's just one that's like similar to him in this timeline? Because
Absolutely not.
because they merged the Man of Steel story with this guy's universe. So does 89 just eventually become Man of Steel?
Uh, Dude, that's a really good question. Well,
That confused me.
if 89 becomes Man of Steel, then that means that universe has two Batman in it. Keaton
Exactly.
and Affleck. So Eric Thorpe thinks this is the Tim Burton Batman. Yeah, I mean it's tough because you're looking at Michael Keaton playing this part and you're sitting there and association makes you assume that that's the same timeline. But you're
Mhm.
so right. This could be completely different because they merged the Man of Steel with this Batman. And
Yes, exactly.
God, this is confusing as hell. So Eric Thorpe also likes this movie better than Spider-Verse, Zach.
Wow, all right, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it that much, dude.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't
I'm
touch it
glad too.
for me,
I'm
but
glad you too. Yeah, no, I don't think this movie could touch Across the Spider-Verse with a 10-foot pole, but that's yeah, that's just me. That's just me. So it's Keaton pulled into a paradox. Yeah. So they convince Bruce Wayne slash Batman to go search for Kal-El, Superman.
yep, need to stop Zod.
It's not Superman though. It's not Superman at all. It's Sasha Kaye playing Supergirl.
That's
And
right.
great debut, I thought. I was not familiar with this actress really much at all.
Never seen
Um,
her.
no, I think she's a really good discovery here, though. I think she was as stoic as the character needed to be. She definitely was a badass when she had to be. She was just throwing blokes left and right. Um, but what do you think of this character and her like introduction and like the way she was presented?
Well, I loved the whole scene of them going to was it Antarctica? I think it was with Batman, and they're going to go save. They think it's Kal-El, but it's actually her. And they got all
Yeah,
the.
Soviet Siberia per
Oh, okay, okay, that makes
yeah.
sense. So there was a couple things in that part of the movie too, where it's like a shovel's slowly falling, and the Flash is just kind of tensed up and lets it fall, and it's like, did you forget you had super speed? You could have caught that and not alerted everybody that you're here. Uh, so there was
Mhm.
little moments like that throughout the movie, but yeah, when we get to Supergirl, I thought she came in her and Keaton actually came in a lot later into the film than I was anticipating, just because they are plastered all over this marketing. So
Yeah.
she came in kind of late. I feel like they gave her a scene of exposition to be like, yeah, I'm this is my story opposed to Henry Cavill's Superman story. Now I'm
Mhm.
just gonna scream and yell at Zod for the rest of the movie. So I thought she like for what she had to do, she was good. The character themselves, I didn't like get attached to. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I wasn't like we have to have a movie with this Supergirl like I've been seeing online. Some people saying I'm just kind
Yeah.
of like she died and I'm okay with moving on if we get a different Supergirl. To be honest.
Yeah, kind of like how apparently we're moving on from John Krasinski as Reed Richards and moving on to Adam Driver. But um, would you think that that would have been a more effective character reveal if they didn't advertise Supergirl?
Oh heck yeah.
Like, because I feel like this is like Batman v Superman all over again. You remember that Wonder Woman was all over the advertising for that movie. Doesn't show up until practically the very end to take on Doomsday.
I
And
think they could have hit Zod in that. And if we're
yeah,
comparing them that way, I think they could have easily
you're
not
right.
had Zod in the trailers.
Yeah, they definitely could have, but I mean, since he's like technically the main antagonist, it's it honestly feels to me like Zod's more of an afterthought, and this is more of an like
Hmm.
this could be interpreted as more of an internal struggle of Barry himself, like trying to change his
Yeah.
past, and he can't. Like the whole lesson is he can't really change your fate. Like
Too bad he doesn't learn it.
he doesn't learn it because he's an unlikable hero.
That's
It's like
that's one of the gripes of the movie for sure is the
he
fact that
just
he
he decides to eat food before saving infants out of a falling baby shower.
hey, he needed to eat so he could save those infants.
That wasn't explained. That was never explained, really. Like, but
It's called
okay.
visual storytelling, Zach.
Oh, this idiot. But okay. So, what happens next? Yeah. So I think what happens is they go and fight Zod. They get rid of him, and he's out of there. That's a really good action sequence as well. I gotta say.
It's all right. It
Um,
doesn't look great. Just kind of in a desert, and
I mean,
everything looks very fake to me
it
personally.
it does give the Flash a lot of room to run around. That's for sure.
It sure does. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they say, come on, Barbie, let's go party. And then they don't even play the Barbie song. So I don't know why they said that. That was the weirdest moment in the movie.
Yeah, no, they're gonna play that in about 3 weeks though, so I think we'll be okay with Barbie
Yeah.
song. So, Yeah, so this action scene comes along and you're sitting there and Batman actually goes down and dies. This Michael Keaton goes down and he's like, he's done. And I'm like,
Yep.
what? And then Supergirl goes down also. And then, oh God, this is probably like, why not just like, why not just keep running back in time to this same exact moment before you get the result you
Yeah.
want?
My
It's
favorite
almost
my
it's
favorite
almost like if
moments
you're playing a
are
video game. It's almost like if you're playing a video game, right? And
oh, it
you
looks like that. Absolutely.
yeah, and you like, you're going through this level and you keep dying and you have to go back to the beginning and you're like, "Okay, I am not losing all my lives to just go back to the start. I'm going from this exact moment. If I die one more time, I'm just going to start the level over until I get the result I want." Like, that's what
Yeah.
they did. That's what they did.
My favorite moment was Rubber Batman jumping all over the people and like putting bombs on them. Like that was so goofy, but I loved it. And when he's flying his like little plane and he like crashes and then they reverse time and Barry's like, "No, Batman, there's a force field." He's like, "Okay," and just like goes under it or something. Like I don't know. I love that.
Oh,
It was funny.
once again, bad CGI coming into the fray. But yeah, they keep running back in time until they get the right result. Zod is out of the picture. Um,
Oh, they never get the right result.
yeah,
They
they
always
never do.
they
Like,
Supergirl always dies.
yeah, Supergirl always dies. Shows you how much. So it shows you.
And I guess Keaton does too.
uh, yeah.
Because his Batman dies and they can't save either one of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that means that Barry Allen cannot save his mom after all, no matter how hard he tries to make that choice. And the 2013 Barry, like, I find it interesting that it was the younger version of Barry that kept running back in time to try and, get the
Yeah.
right result. And then that's when that's when the multiverse gets really, really freaking wide open.
Yeah, this is when the movie gets too convoluted for its own good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So before we get to that point, I gotta say what's up to Aritra in the chat. Across the Spider-Verse blows this movie out of the water. Sure does. Sure does. And besides Barbie, Oppenheimer, and Dead Reckoning, this summer doesn't seem too exciting to me beyond that. Maybe a surprise. You're forgetting Dial of Destiny. Dial of Destiny is gonna be a good one,
Yeah.
I think. God, what else this month? Yeah, I guess Dead Reckoning. Does Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem count as
That's
summer?
August. I believe that's August. So yeah, it does.
Yeah, no, I was thinking, yeah, no, that's when kids usually start school around here. So I guess to
Oh.
them it means, oh, fall. But I'm like, yeah, what classifies as summer and fall?
What about Strays? When's Strays coming out?
Oh, dear God. That's the Will Ferrell raunchy comedy where he voices a dog, huh?
Yep.
Oh, man. HH Knight reviews, what's up? The sooner The Flash came out, the sooner everyone could move on. That's my overall thought about the movie. Just get it over with. Yikes. I mean, yeah.
It's a fun movie though. Like I still recommend it to people. I think it's a very recommendable movie. It's a fun time,
Yeah.
despite all the flaws that we're pointing out.
Jacob Hubbard, my friend, would not be in this community without you inviting me onto your channel. One day, Zach, I'll be. Yeah.
Yes,
Let's
dude.
get it
We're
done.
working on it. We got to get you
Let's-
on there.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I gotta love seeing these collabs over here. Oh, Michael Shannon said he only did it because he had Snyder's blessing. That's interesting.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's an interesting little tidbit there. Those variants were so annoying. 80s kid from the 90s. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the Friends. Talking about the Friends. Let's see.
Oh, like the friends that he the ones that teased him in his timeline, but the ones that were like his roommates in
Yeah.
the alternate timeline. They were
Mhm.
annoying.
Yes. Yeah.
Thankfully, they
Collab-
weren't in the movie for very long.
I laughed. So, okay. So the fact that this is something that we forgot to address, since both Barrys have the powers,
Yeah.
only one of them can have the ring that the current Barry has to actually give him the cool suit. So he takes the ring back. So he has the awesome suit. So the younger Barry just takes another copy of Michael Keaton's Batman bat suit and he turns it into a Flash suit.
Yep. Pretty smart. Cuts
So
off the ears.
so freaking ratchet, man. Like, oh, that's crazy.
And they like build an electric chair to get his powers back. They just
Yep.
like electrocute the crap out of him.
Finally, give us the Nicolas Cage Superman versus giant spider movie. Damn it,
Yeah,
Tyler.
they
Damn
did
it,
it.
Tyler. Yeah.
Do you
Damn
know
it.
the history behind that?
I wish I did. I wish I
Yeah,
did.
I tell you, my friend.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you right now. Nicolas Cage was going to be Superman in a Tim Burton movie called Superman Lives.
Mm-hmm.
And the producer, comes from Kevin Smith, who worked on the script. He's told the story before. This is like back in the 90s. The producer, here were his criteria for what the Superman movie had to have. He couldn't fly, no cape,
What?
and he must fight a giant spider in the climax. That's what the producers told Kevin Smith had to happen in the Superman movie. Can you believe it never got made?
How do you have a Superman movie where he doesn't fly?
Yeah. Isn't that insane?
God, that's like saying, like, oh yeah, we're gonna have a Thor movie where he doesn't have his hand. Oh wait, yeah, no,
it was the 90s. The studios did not know what they were doing with these comic book properties.
They
But
did
that's
not.
what that's paying homage to. That's why they had
Mhm.
that in that movie. It's the
Yeah.
deepest cut in a comic book movie I think I've ever seen.
So what happens? What they're referring to, also, what we're getting at, is the younger Barry runs as many times as he can, and you
Mhm.
open up all these freaking portals, and you see freaking Adam West as Batman over there. You see Christopher Reeve as Superman, which somebody in the chat said was disrespectful earlier because of,
And Helen Slater, Supergirl from the 80s. She comes
Mm-hmm.
flying in there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they like the only thing missing was Christian Bale as Batman. That was the only thing missing.
Yeah, there
But
was a couple things I was surprised it didn't. Did you find it impressive? Did it like make you happy?
not really. I mean, I was
Yeah.
sitting there like Nicolas Cage was coming out as Superman. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? This is just like, yeah, it's supposed to be a fan service moment for all the long-term DC fans, but I don't know, man.
It
I don't
just felt
know.
like the movie came to a halt for like 3 minutes.
Then it was just like a video package highlighting what DC has done in the past instead of trying to focus on what you're actually doing right now.
Yeah.
Like,
But it's kind of funny because all they've done in the past is Superman and Batman, so that's all they had to show.
Superman wears a cape, said Jerry Seinfeld. Yeah. Yeah. That's also why there's a giant mechanical spider in the third act of the Will Smith movie. Wild.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, that's one I have seen. And yeah. Imagine if Reverse Flash was the villain and told Flash, it was me, Barry.
that.
I mean, that would have made it akin and more like the comics. That's for darn
Yeah.
sure.
It sounds like that's what they wanted to do.
If it actually turns out that this younger Flash is the real villain, like that would have been a really cool, like different approach to things. That would have been like, oh,
Yeah.
he's fighting amongst himself. And the whole message is you can't, like, reverse your fate. And this is the living embodiment of that fate. Like, completely missed
Yeah.
opportunity.
I mean, like so they meet up with the past Barry, who's now evil Barry, who's been like for who knows how long trying to fix this timeline, trying to save Supergirl. And this is where like I hate Paradox, man. I hate them. So this creature pushes current Barry originally into the alternate timeline because he knew that he needed to do that in order to get created. And then he finds out that Barry has no intentions of saving the mom. So then he's going to kill Barry, but that he ends up killing himself because himself jumps in front of current Barry. But wouldn't he have known that himself was going to do it's I don't like paradoxes.
Oh, good Lord. Good Lord. Yeah.
And whether you kill that Barry or the past Barry, don't you still just kill yourself?
These are questions that need answers, and this movie did not give us those answers, clearly. So it's a very touching moment at the end where current Barry basically comes to grips with his mother's death and he undoes the events that led to everything that happened. Touching scene.
Great
Where he
performance by Ezra. Absolutely.
yeah, say what you want about them, but give them credit because that was that was stellar what they did there.
Strictly talking about the movie.
Mhm.
Ezra was really good in it.
Absolutely. So They put the can of tomatoes back on the shelf, pretty much redoes everything, or so we think. Or so we think, because you oh, dear God, I can't believe this. So, I don't even know how to approach this, Zach. I really don't. So he basically has Batman on the phone, and he basically is telling him, "I'm so glad to hear your voice again." And God, there's a crowd of people around the around the car, and me knowing, like, how reversals work, and I'm just sitting here as a student of the game. This would be way too easy if it was Ben Affleck. This would
Yeah,
almost feel anticlimactic. Who pops up a George Clooney?
it's George Clooney.
Of all people, a guy
Oh
who has
man, so
made
funny.
a guy who has made fun of the fact that he wore a rubber ass Batman suit, and here he is doing it again. Like,
Yep.
how did they talk him into this?
It was
How do they do it?
so funny. I don't know how they talked him into it, but like it was so funny, but at the same time I was so confused cuz if you want to get really nerdy, that's still supposed to be Michael Keaton's Batman. The
Still supposed to
89 to
be.
Batman and Robin, like they switched actors, but it's still supposed to be the consistent
Oh.
character.
Oh.
I guess
Yeah.
maybe
Mhm.
now they're retconning to the point where they're making those individual like timelines, and the only consistent thing is the Alfred. But I was like really confused by that. I was like, that's supposed to be the same character. Like different actors played him, but that's supposed to be the same character. So
It is. It is. Yeah, it did end up switching from Michael Keaton to George Clooney by the time 1997 rolled around.
yeah,
I don't know. Does this mean Chris O'Donnell, comes
he's
out
in
of
there
wherever he is?
somewhere.
he's
So
he's somewhere.
yep, they've just
He's
trapped the
somewhere.
Flash in Batman and Robin's universe, and
Oh,
I guess we'll move on with the DCU.
that's what the Brave and the Bold is, I'm sure. Andy Muschietti directing Chris O'Donnell and George Clooney.
No.
Could you imagine?
There is no way they are bringing George Clooney back as the Batman for Batman and Brave and the Bold. There's no way.
You don't think so?
Why would you get the worst Batman to come back for that? You don't do that.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll
No,
believe it when I see it.
They are definitely implying. See, like this is interesting because this movie was made before the takeover of James Gunn. So this was leading to something. They had a Batgirl movie filmed with Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton dies in this movie. I'm so curious as to how that was supposed to play out. I don't know where they were planning on going with this right now, but as far as James Gunn's universe is concerned, I think the implication is that this Barry is in a different timeline, and it's almost like a tragic ending for him because he is now stuck in that timeline forever.
But it's also played for comedy.
That's the thing too, right? Is you get a huge laugh out of it, even though if you really think about it, this is a really horrific thing to leave this Barry on, and we'll probably never see him again. We'll probably never pick it up again. He's just lost all of what he used to know, and now he's trapped in this timeline forever.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it pans out, but that was the Flash. It was, definitely not the greatest comic book movie ever made.
No, it was not. It was bizarre, but it was fun.
Far from it. I wouldn't even say it's in the top 20 comic book movies ever made. Like,
probably not.
That's how I feel about like a lot of these DC movies lately. It's like Shazam Fury of the Gods comes out, and that's fun. There's some good things about it, but I can think of at least like a few dozen comic book movies that are better than Shazam Fury of the Gods. Like, I don't know, man. I mean, doesn't have me overly hopeful for DC's future, but then again, James Gunn directed probably one of my favorites in recent years in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
but
just reboot the whole thing. That's all you got to do.
Yep. Start over from scratch. Get rid of Ezra Miller. My theater lost it when Clooney showed up. Yeah. I bet they did.
I'm the only person. At least I'm the only person that I could hear. My theater was dead quiet the whole time. I was like, "What?" And I lost it. It was great. My brother was embarrassed to be sitting next to me.
Zach is basically saying he was providing audio commentary for his theater.
Yep, pretty much. Same thing happened with Guardians 3. Can we talk about? Is it okay to do a spoiler for that? Has it been
Yeah.
long enough?
Yeah.
Yeah. When Guardians, when the post-credit scene ended with Star-Lord at home with his grandpa, and then the screen turns black and it says the legendary Star-Lord will return, I audibly went, "Oh, interesting," and the whole theater laughed at me because I wasn't expecting it. I was just totally in my own world, and I was like, "What?
He
He's
doesn't
coming
need no
back?"
team. He doesn't need no team. He's all by himself.
Yeah.
He's
So
a he's a guy from Parks and Rec turned into a beefcake. Yeah, he doesn't need no team. Doesn't need a team.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
Rocket
known for providing the commentary of my theater.
Rocket can lead the team. Jacob Hubbard smiled at George Clooney. I'm glad he got to be him again after a bad movie, kind of redemption. I guess when you put it that way, I don't know Clooney's ultimate motives for doing
Yeah.
Batman here.
The thing
But
is, though, is that he didn't really do anything to redeem it. He just walked up and said, "What's wrong with you, Barry?" Or whatever he said. Like it's not like he had like an epic Batman scene. It's not like he gave an epic before. Like it was. I wouldn't say redemption. I think it was just for a joke. Maybe
yeah,
Clooney just understood how funny it was. Maybe that's why he did it. Maybe he was like, "That's so funny, I'm in."
one likely. T absolutely loves Clooney popping up. I mean, I I found it more funny than anything that they got the Batman from one of the worst movies of
Yeah.
all time to come back for this one. 80s kid from the 90s, Clooney. Why couldn't they cut before they show his face? Um, that's an idea. But let me tell you something. I feel like the joke wouldn't necessarily work if they left you on a cliffhanger there. You know,
Yeah.
it's almost like the Walking Dead effect. If anybody's ever seen The Walking Dead, when Negan is introduced, he has probably the most iconic scene in all those comics, and he kills Glenn pretty mercilessly. And basically, the TV show when Negan is introduced, it shows a POV of Negan blasting somebody in the face with the barbed wire baseball bat.
Oh yeah, this was a
But
big
they
thing. I remember
don't
this.
show you who he killed until the season 7 premiere. And so many of my friends, and myself included, were mad. We were really mad. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, why couldn't you just tell us who he killed? You know? It's
Yeah, that's brutal. I feel like if they had cut it before they showed him, though, it would have been a little. I think they did a nice thing showing us Clooney because if they had cut, but if it was just Barry being like, "Who's this guy?" and then they cut, we would be speculating for years. Who was it? Who did he see? Who cast Batman? Who was it? And we would have just drove ourselves crazy trying to guess who it was. So I'm glad we
yeah.
don't have to do that for years and
Well,
never have an answer.
Thorpe already suspected that Clooney would show up. He heard there would be another Batman because Bale and Pattinson are off limits. Why is Bale off limits? What's he doing?
Yeah, I didn't think Bale was off limits. I just think he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah. Oh God.
Now that is what should have ended the movie. Are you in legal trouble, Barry? I got you. Never leave the cave without it.
No, bat credit cards. No. We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
I love it.
James Gunn confirmed it won't be Clooney. Interesting.
Yes. I can't believe for a second that they would ever consider that.
Okay, so that's supposed to be a joke then.
Oh yeah, it has to be. That would be like if the MCU legitimately thought of bringing Ang Lee's Hulk as the main Hulk in Marvel. If they were like, the timeline changed, Mark Ruffalo is gone, and now we've got Ang Lee's Hulk.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah. Could you imagine? They reshot the deaths when they canceled Batgirl. That's interesting. It's still
okay. That could make
it's still
sense.
a sin that they canceled Batgirl because I would have loved to have seen that movie, but alas.
I saw the funniest tweet when this movie came out. I can't remember who did it. You might have seen it. It was David Zaslav has said that The Flash is the greatest comic book movie ever made. Now I really want to see Batgirl because this guy has terrible taste in comic book movies.
Yeah. I mean,
it does make you wonder, though. If they're saying Batgirl was an abomination and could never be seen, but they still were like, and I'm not saying The Flash is a terrible movie because it's not, but it's definitely not a perfect movie and not one that like
far from
changes the landscape of comic book movies. Why couldn't Batgirl be completed and be put out?
Why not? Yeah, Zaslav's favorite Marvel movie is probably Quantum Mania by that logic.
Oh man.
It was originally filmed with Michael Keaton and Supergirl showing up at the courthouse, but since they're not doing more with Keaton, they changed it to a gag. Yeah, that I can see
Hmm,
that. I can see
interesting.
that.
So the original plan was to continue with Keaton and that Supergirl and the
Looks
interesting.
like it. Looks like it. He was in the Batgirl movie and was supposed to continue, and then they retconned it all.
Hmm.
That's sad. That's really sad. If this is Keaton's send off, like officially,
Yeah.
thank
It's
you
just,
for all you did in this role, Keaton. You were
but
the
like
man.
after watching this movie, um, it does feel like they were setting up Keaton to be in more. Did it not? Like before he died, it
Yeah.
definitely feel like I can't believe that there's a Batgirl movie out there that Michael Keaton shot as Batman that will never see the light of day. Especially after seeing him in this, he was so good being
He
back as
was.
Batman. I wanted more, and I felt a little that sadness wash over me again, thinking of Batgirl being canceled after seeing him in this movie. To be
Mm-hmm.
honest,
Well, we're giving Erythra a lot of sadness right now because the more we talk about it, the more Erythra dislikes it. Already didn't really like it at all. Probably. Oh man, I hope it's not on your worst of the year list countdown. It probably honestly won't be on my list. The more I think about it,
I don't think it's the worst of the year by any
no,
means,
not even close.
but it's
Not
not a
even
top
close.
10.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Yeah, not better than Across the Spider-Verse. Sorry, Eric. And not better than Guardians Volume 3. Not by a long shot. Cavill was also supposed to show up at the courthouse, Eric says. Hmm. I doubt that.
Interesting.
I doubt that.
That would only
The
make sense, I think, if he was in the movie more. Because otherwise, why is he showing up?
why?
I can see why that
Uh
was cut.
The Flash has some of the most pathetic fan service I've ever seen. Makes No Way Home's fan. What's wrong with No Way Home's fan service? What's wrong with that? No Way Home is awesome. It's my favorite Spider-Man movie.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah. When Glenn died, I checked out of that show. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And like it ended up being Glenn anyway. I mean, he killed Abraham also, Michael Cudlitz, but like if you're gonna leave it as a cliffhanger, just have him kill Abraham and keep Stephen Yeun on board. But no, they had to be true to the comics. Oh, oh God. Jacob Hubbard liked Ang Lee's Hulk. What do you have to say to that?
I'm glad someone did.
Ay,
Someone
ay,
had to.
ay,
I'm
ay,
glad
ay,
it's
ay.
you, man.
Oh my God.
I should watch
Everybody.
that movie again before I actually submit my thoughts on that because I have not seen that for a very long time. So
Oh
maybe I should
man.
check it out one more time and see if I actually dislike it.
It is horrible. Speaking of horrible, now you get to see more of Michael Keaton as Vulture teaming up with Morbius.
Oh,
Let me tell you something. Tyler. So I'm assuming that's not what Michael Keaton wants to do at the end of his career is just scam the Sony Marvel audiences, like scam the Sony Marvel audience out of their money and show up in the trailer. But then when you go and watch the movie, he's just in the post credits.
I got a
Who does
question for
that?
you.
Yeah.
Over under 60%, he shows up in Craven.
Ooh. Well, okay. Here's my thing. And you want a bold statement? I don't think Craven the Hunter is going to be very good, but at least Sony has learned their lesson. I've been telling them so many times in my reviews, make these movies rated R if you want to really get to the down and dirty of all these characters. Venom would have been great rated R. I know there's
Yeah.
fans out there. I know there's other YouTubers out there. Oh, Amanda, I know there's a lot of you that like the Venom movies. To each their own. They're not good though. They're
You didn't
really
see the
not good.
Craven trailer, did you?
Doesn't look very good, man. It
Yeah.
does not look very good.
It looks like another Morbius with better action sequences to me.
Jesus Christ. It's Morbin time. Yeah, well, I mean, they're just trying to piss me off now. T says he will 100% show up in Craven.
Yeah, I
Okay.
wouldn't be surprised if they're
Yeah.
trying to recruit all these supervillains if he's the next one.
No, see, what'll happen is he'll show up in the next trailer spot for Craven the Hunter, and then they'll save him for the second post-credit sequence. That's exactly what's going to happen. And they're going to scam Michael Keaton fans out of their money.
Oh man, do you think at this point though they could just CGI the Vulture with the mask on and have Michael Keaton come in for like 5 minutes and just say like, "We need you, Craven," and then that's it.
Hey,
Like he's not putting on that full suit again just to do a stupid post-credit scene after Morbius.
hey, hey, it's easy money for Michael Keaton, so I'm sure he won't be complaining. I'm vengeance. I'm vengeance. He's not vengeance anymore. If you watched that Batman movie last year, which is still the best thing DC's put out since the Dark Knight trilogy, like, and it's not connected to any of this universe. Like, Matt Reeves has it stand alone, and now we want a sequel. We want the Batman 2. Like, it's not trying to set up anything else. It's trying to give us a good movie. Not enough studios do that. Freaking Tyler. Craven tries to hunt down Vulture, not realizing he's an actual vulture. You got to be kidding me.
Plot leaked. That is the plot of Craven. That has to be.
You got to be kidding me, bro.
That's amazing.
Like, yeah, what's next? He tries to hunt down the Prowler. Oh, yeah, you think you can prowl after me? No, I got another thing coming, brother. I got another thing coming. T says Craven will not be good at all. Once I saw that lion's blood give him
dude,
power.
yeah. I mean, I'm all for taking liberties. I get it. Not the comics you don't have to stick to it. Man, that was dumb. That was dumb.
Whatever Sony does, they have to keep the Venomverse as far away as possible from the MCU.
Yes.
But it's too late because Tom Hardy was already in the post-credits for No Way Home.
No, it's okay. He never interacted with anybody. For all we know, he was in a completely different timeline, and they just threw him in that post-credit scene.
Good Lord. And, you had the Spot in Across the Spider-Verse, talking to the cashier from the Venom movies. Like,
that
opens up a portal.
It was probably the most pointless cameo in that movie.
You don't say.
Within a movie that uses cameos very well. But it was kind of fun.
J.K. Simmons is J. Jonah Jameson in every universe.
Yes. That's all I want, and that's all I needed.
Get out of here. You can't have anybody else play this part. And I'll talk about my son, the astronaut. Jacob Hubbard is stoked for Joker 2.
Oh,
you stoked for Joker? You stoked for Joker 2?
Sorry, I'm still on the astronaut line. Stoked for Joker. Yeah, I'm stoked for Joker 2. I'm very curious about Joker 2. Let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be very stylistic, and I'm very curious to see what they do with that. Story-wise, I'm not sure where they can go with how they did the first one, because they did set out to do the first one standalone. So they're going to have to kind of really find it within themselves another great story. So I hope they did.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The Joker timeline that we saw in 2019 is completely different from the Batman.
Yeah, supposed to be.
Because you have Barry Keoghan in that post credits as the Joker, of course.
Yeah.
I love how Matt Reeves referenced so much of the comics 90s cartoon, and it's the best. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm sitting here and it's a toss up between the Batman and the Dark Knight, just because everything the Dark Knight did was so freaking right. It's always a toss up for me. What do you think, Zach? Which one's better?
I feel like all the Batman movies before the Batman, the villain always overshadowed Batman. Like when I think Dark Knight, I think Joker. Strictly.
Oh,
Heath Ledger Joker, right? I even Batman 89, I think Jack Nicholson. And Batman and Robin, I think Arnold Schwarzenegger for different reasons. And Batman Forever, I think Jim Carrey. Batman Returns, I think Penguin and even Catwoman. Bane, Dark Knight Rises. But when I think of the Batman, I think of Batman.
You think of Robert
I think
Pattinson.
of that Batman. Yeah, like he stands out within his movie, and I feel like that's something that every other Batman has struggled to do. Personally, just personally.
Totally. Oh, I might be the only oh no, T
didn't like the Joker.
Oh, that breaks my heart, man. That breaks my heart.
This was a polarizing movie when it came out. I remember.
Barry Keoghan is 80s kid from the 90s favorite Joker.
Nice. He's like 5 minutes on a deleted scene, but that's awesome.
Didn't have much to go off of there, but that's pretty impressive. Yeah. Marvel has been doing awesome for the past month or so. And that reminds me, Zach, I still have not yet started Secret Invasion, and I need to. and I
The
need
first
to.
episode's good. Dave, don't expect it to blow you away, but it's good.
Mhm.
I enjoyed it. I like the
Good.
setup.
Good. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not expecting any of the Marvel shows to blow me away unless Loki's in it anymore. But,
Yeah.
hey, Moon Knight surprised the hell out of me last year. I want to see more of him. But
Yeah.
yeah. All right, guys. Well, it looks like we're about out of time. We're going to wrap it up right here. Zach, thank you so much, as always, my friend, for stopping in. Let us know where we can find you.
Yeah, well, always, dude. Thank you so much for having me on. I love coming on your channel, and it's always not enough. So I love it. Thank you so much for having me on, dude. And yeah, you can find me at Zack Milne Talks Movies on YouTube. Right there. Just type that into the YouTube search bar. You'll find it. I'm on Twitter, Zack Milne Talks. Well, I think I'm Milne Movies still. I'm never gonna change that. But if you search Zack Milne Talks Movies, you'll find me. Yeah, we got live shows. Zack Milne Talks live every Wednesday. We cover some movie news topics. We talk with the community within the chat. It's a really fun time. Movie reviews every weekend. Yeah, it's a blast. Come join us. I think you'll enjoy our time on the little community over there. Oh,
Yeah.
and also, I
Oh,
guess I'll keep talking.
I had trouble with the solo layout here.
No
There
worries.
we go. There we go. Yeah, so expect Zach back on this channel for sure. It's always a great time with him. Clearly, we're just laughing and debating and disagreeing. That's what's fun. Movies,
Yeah.
everybody has their own taste. Go subscribe to him. He is on the road to 2,500 before the end of the year. I am on the road to 2,000 before the end of the year. Smash that
Yeah.
subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. It would mean so much to me. So what you can expect from me, I started my Mission Impossible playlist with just the original movie. I'm gonna talk about the weakest one soon, Mission Impossible 2. And I haven't been able to watch No Hard Feelings or Asteroid City yet. I'm planning on it this week. Please bear with me. It's been a very busy week with audition season here. So I'm looking to get, like in my other life, I'm also an actor on stage and
He's
all these
looking to get
community theater.
into the movies, not just talk about
No,
them.
nah, I'm not looking to get it. Yeah, but I mean, the stage is so fun. So, yeah, thank you guys for being patient with me. And my next live stream, you saw Jacob Hubbard in the chat. He is going to be joining me next week as we rank all 10 Spider-Man movies that we've gotten so far. I was waiting until
Nice.
Across the Spider-Verse came out to do this. We have a nice round number of 10. It's easy for us to go through them and rank them all, and it'll be a lot of fun. I'm sure there'll be a
that's
lot of
awesome.
pointing and disagreeing a lot of the time since he and I both have the same background, apparently. So, yeah, I think that'll just about wrap it up, my friends. Jacob Hubbard is plugging it in the chat already. I love it. But yeah, it's gonna be, as we chip away at this summer, there's a lot of big movies coming out. Looking forward to reviewing Barbie, Oppenheimer, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, Part 1, of course, which will end on a cliffhanger, Zach. It will end on a cliffhanger.
Hopefully not as bad as some of the cliffhangers we've had recently.
Yeah. Or as Lindsay said after we watched Across the Spider-Verse, it ended on a cliffhanger. That was rude. That was rude.
Or Fast Sandwich was like, and see ya. And the movie was just over. It was like, oh,
to be continued.
okay.
To be continued. But yeah, guys, this was a lot of fun. Keep loving each other. Keep loving the movies. And I'll see you next time.
See you guys.